Hello and welcome back to this video. In this video, I am going to show you how to use the commenting feature in Python in two ways. And in the first phase, I'm going to teach you how to use comment to let the interpreter ignore some program statements in your source code. And that can be easily done by using the hash character on your keyboard. Okay, so I'm going to use the guessing game program that we wrote in the previous video. And if you take a look at this program critically, you can see that on line 4, we ask the user to enter a nickname, but nowhere else in this program are we using the Nikki variable. And so it appears as if we didn't need it in the first place, okay? So if we want the interpreter to ignore line 4 totally, all that we have to do is to prepend line 4 with the hash character. And this is going to let the interpreter totally ignore that line. As far as the interpreter is concerned, that line doesn't exist at all. But when you open the source code and you're taking a look at it, you will see it. So what makes you see that it is a comment is the fact that it starts with the hash character, and you can see that Visual Studio Code Editor is also helping you by using a different color to highlight it so that you know that this is a commented out source code. Okay, so I'm going to save and then we run this program. If I run it, you can see that instead of the program asking me to enter a Nikki, which is what it has to do on line 4, before it comes to ask me to enter a guess, it goes right away and asks me to enter a guess. And that is because line 4 has been preceded by the hash character, and that is how we comment out a statement in our source code so that the interpreter is going to ignore it totally. So I'm going to enter my guess here, and it says my guess is wrong. So now we know how to comment out our statement. Let's see what will happen if I comment out line 5. Well, if I comment out line 5, then there will be an issue because on line 6, I am using a variable called user guess, which doesn't exist in the first place. And the reason why it doesn't exist is because I have commented out line 5 where the user guess variable would have been created. So you don't just go about commenting out statement. You also need to look at the dependencies on the statement that you are commenting to know that it is not going to cause any issue for statements that follow it. Okay, so I'm going to uncomment this and I'll show you the shortcut that I use to do this. All right, so I'm going to show you the next way that we use comment in our code, and it is to document our source code or to explain what the statement in our source code are doing. So for example, if I wanted to explain what line 4 does, there are two ways I could do that. I could bring the comment on top of that line, or I can also put it beside it, or you can even put it below. You just have to take into consideration the context and understand which place is the better place for you to put your comment, and that should be fine. But usually it comes before the statement, or we can do it in line beside the statement. So if I want to do it before, I can bring the hash character and I say generate a number between 0 to 2. And so if I run this program, you will see that it has no bearing on what the interpreter does. So it asks for the guess. I'm going to enter 2 and it says it is false. So you can see that there is a test on line 3, but as far as the Python interpreter is concerned, it is totally ignored because that is what the comments are for. So if I wanted to do the commenting beside, I can just take this away from where it is and then I can bring it here and I save. And if I run this program, you'll see once again that it has no bearing on what the interpreter does because everything that comes after the hash character is ignored. And so the interpreter knows that on line 3 there is a source statement there, but then it encounters the hash character and it is going to ignore everything that comes after it. So it will execute the program all right, but then for people who are reading it, it adds some explanation to the source code for us to know what is happening over there. So this is how we add comment to explain or document our source code. However, there are some guidelines that we must follow, and I'm going to show you how to find those guidelines and also read them and apply them in your program. So Python has a programming style guide which is known as PEP 8, and it's a set of ideologies and statements that governs how we should write our program, and it is quite exhaustive because there are almost rules or guidelines for everything that you can do in Python, and there is a guide on the maximum line length. So it says limit all lines to a maximum of 79 characters. So whenever you're writing a program statement, it is recommended that you limit the length of your lines to 79 characters. This includes your variable names, your mathematical expressions, and your commenting. Now there is a special guide for comment. It says for following long blocks of text with fewer structural restrictions, docstrings or comment, the line length should be limited to 72. And so this is a very long document that you can find when you Google PEP 8 style guide, and you don't have to know everything in it offhand. You build those behaviors as you program more and more, but then it is good to look into it to know what is considered conventionally right and what is considered conventionally wrong in Python. And so this is it for adding comments to document your source code. Let's take a quick pause, and in the next video I will show you how to add multi-line comment, and that will be it for this section. So I'll see you soon.